Welcome back to The Verdict. It's our election studios coming to you live from Lagos. Well, we did tell you that we since have GT Ogunye, our elections consultant, here with us in Lagos. What do you think of this entire process, the explanations that INEC has given so far?
Well, the explanation that INEC has given, in particular this morning, through the INEC officials in Abuja today, following the latest session of assurance given by the INEC chairman at the press briefing yesterday, is reassuring. And Nigerians expect that we won't have another miscarriage or abortion of the process tomorrow. Nigerians are very hopeful and optimistic about this election. And while the INEC official was just giving the explanation just now, I started reflecting on what Nigerians have gone through over the years in trying to see that electoral system becomes very participatory. You know, there was a time even to collect the PVCs, was very problematic. There were areas where people registered as voters, where they are taught that they will be able to collect their PVCs. Even in this Lagos, some, will go to other local governments and all. It was very, very terrible. But I think that over time, INEC, based on its past experiences, have also tried to improve on its work. And I think that we're seeing improvement. I know that in a process as elaborate as what we've had, just imagine it. If you go to a polling booth, who do you see or what do you see? You see polling officers who are there, you see papers, you see the card reader, you see ink, and then imagine how many of such things you see all over the country. And so with that kind of elaborateness, there are bound to be administrative lapses. I'm not condoning those, but there are bound to be those administrative lapses.
Those administrative lapses, what led to about 11 million registered persons unable to get their PVCs?
It may not be that. Let's try to be objective and balanced here. The people who've made genuine and persistent effort to obtain their PVCs. But there are also those who complain in the social media and elsewhere about not getting their PVCs without even making an attempt to get it, because they are preoccupied with existential concerns and all that. And on the eve of the election, they start saying, oh, I've not obtained my PVC. The critical question has been whether INEC, in consistency with its mandate, would devise ways and means to get these PVCs to their owners, but through register post or through some proactive steps, rather than sitting back in his office and say, come to us. Because INEC also has that duty, that haven't spent huge resources to make these PVCs. These PVCs shouldn't be lying fallow somewhere, unused. They're meant to be used. 11-point-something million is a huge number of voters. And those numbers indeed can determine the outcome of an election. So they are not supposed to be there either to be gotten later by fire in a warehouse or something like that. They are supposed to be used. And so each time INEC keeps saying that, oh, we have this huge number that not be collected, it rankles. But I'm saying that it's not just administrative lapses that will occasion the non-collection of those huge numbers of voters' card. Now, I think that we can't continue to be angry about what happened last week. Just
apparently you were angry.
I was angry, and every Nigerian was legitimately angry and all that. But we can be very hopeful that tomorrow it will be a different situation. And I had remarked earlier, even on your program, that unlike in previous election, it was as if this INEC felt that it had to do more to, put its acts together. Because unlike in the previous election where we had one election following the other in a week, now we have 2 weeks. And I was wondering why 2 weeks until we had that miscarriage. So, and I then assured myself that, okay, with this miscarriage, even if we are going to have 3 weeks to ensure that everything was right, then so be it. But we're in the eye of the world now. And the world that was amazed at what happened in Nigeria last week will also be keen to see how far we're able to go this time around. And the responsibility on the shoulders of INEC is huge. And I think that they know that once that incident happened last week, Nigerians will not be willing to tolerate another failure, But let me just quickly say this. Now, and Prof, I'm very happy that I'm appearing with him this morning. He's one of the best law professors this country, near Africa, has produced, and I'm not just patronizing him. So it's a pleasure always sitting down with him and listening to him talk. Now, Prof mentioned something earlier about going the digital, the electronic way. And of course, there will be doubts. There will be hesitation whether we can pull it off. But I must say that that's the only way to go if we are serious as a country. Not just because it will enhance the credibility of our election process and the outcome of our election, but also because it will help us save money. The money we spend on papers, on documentation, on logistics, is too whopping. This election is 245 billion. That's a lot of money for a country, although we brag now that we've surpassed South Africa as the biggest economy in Africa again. But what was the value of that? In a country racked by poverty like this, 245 billion is a lot of money. I'm saying that if we go the technology way, full hug, because now you cannot even, the argument cannot even be made that we shouldn't do that, because the card reader that we're talking about is technology.
So that means with that explanation, 2023, there's nothing stopping us from going full-blown.
Full-blown.
But we said this in 2015 as well. We said in 2015, we had this discussion. We said that in 2019, nothing stops us from going the whole hog. But it's happening to us again. We're faced with that situation where we did not get the president's the signature on the amendment of the Electoral Act, the Electoral Bill. And now we're still in the same point that we were in 2015, not going fully digital.
I think that the Nigerian people should be more pushful in this direction, in nudging our institutions and our government to do the right thing. And I have my reason for saying why. Saying so. Yes, the president didn't assent to this last electoral bill, so it's not become a law. But what is the disposition of our institutions to technology? Yes, we can talk about the executive. What of the legislature? How often does it resort to the electronic voting system in the chamber of the National Assembly? So all we have is A and nay. So you can't track their performance, you can't track their voting records, you can't take them on, you can't make them accountable on many things. And for the judiciary, the last election that was held, even with the tepid introduction of the card reader, all around at the apex court, the card reader was rejected.
Yeah, but isn't that, Prof, I mean, so for the judiciary now...
That can be an encouragement of technology.
Yeah, but what should we do then? What should the judiciary be doing in this case in order for people not to perceive them as being, the drawback to us moving forward?
Well, it's bad enough that the judiciary seems to have hijacked the power of the electorate to select their leaders, because now the judiciary at the last minute, 5 minutes to midnight, might come with a ruling which will scatter all the things that we've been doing. But then we have no alternative than to put full hope and confidence in the judiciary, because it's the last bus stop to anarchy. So if really you don't encourage the law as a problem solver, we have a greater problem facing society. So I take it that the judiciary too will be compelled to up its knowledge and know-how through embracing technology. A little bit has started in a place like Lagos State, but I'm talking of generally. Okay, we should no longer have long hand taking of records of the judiciary. The first time I went to a court in Canada, I was amazed compared with what we are used to in Nigeria. The docket, everything, you could just look at the screen, you know what court you are going, you know what matters are coming up, displayed just like you're in the airport, like you want to know which plane you are boarding. There's a lot of technology in the judiciary elsewhere, but I come back to the fact of our underdevelopment. If we are improving the electoral process, I think we have to tag along as judges, as lawyers, to this process. You know, you can't run away from technology. As I said previously, we all use cell phones. We use ATM cards. And you have a wide diffusion. The last time, how many millions of Nigerians are on the net? There was statistic pulled out not too long ago. Yeah. So many Nigerians are on the net. You know, there was a time we used to romanticize about cell phones. But now it's been democratized. So we should not be afraid of technology.
Okay, well, let me go back to Mr. Nwafo on this one. And Mr. Osi, you could weigh in a little later after that, because Mr. Nwafo, for instance now, the voting point settlements that have been created, yes, they were created off the original PUs. So what happens? How will the card readers, how will people vote using the card reader in those areas?
Okay. Let me first of all explain about these voting points. When a polling unit is more than 750 in excess, you create voting points after 750 in excess of 500. But those voting points, yes, people go there to do accreditation, but they are offshoots of a polling unit. And because they are offshoots of a polling unit, when we configure all those card readers in these voting points and the polling unit, because they are in a place, with the same PU code. And when we do that, we also take the IMEI of those card readers, so we know where they are. And therefore, when they come, we we add all of them together as the total number of registered voters that came to that polling unit. And in terms of results, all the voting points comes to a polling unit, and result is taken as one from the polling unit. And that's why we keep on saying that we don't have more than 119 plus 1,000 polling units, but you can have voting points. We have about 176 plus 1,000 in terms of voting points. Thank you.
No, I didn't get that part very clearly. Could you clarify a little bit more? Are you saying that you have 195 extra voting points, settlements?
I didn't say there's what we call voting point settlement. That is different. What I'm talking is voting points.
So how many?
We have
190. So now, how many voting point settlements do you have? Because tomorrow is election.
There are two things you have to understand. That's what we call voting points, and that's what we call voting point settlement. Yeah. As far as we are concerned, the only place we have voting point settlement is Abuja, which is about 309, to accommodate the issues of Abuja. In terms of the voting points, which is different from voting point settlement, voting points are offshoots, or when a polling unit is over 750, you separate them in multiples of 500, and we have about 176,000 plus. Not 195, I mean 176,000 plus voting points.
And PUs.
And they are, but for the PUs, we have 119,000 plus. That's what we have.
Okay, just hang on, Mr. Ozi. We'll come back to you in just a moment, or we'll come back from the break. Don't go away.